How do you top the pizza that has everything? Detroit pizza is thick, chewy, crispy, and indulgent. And Bolognese sauce is rich, savory, and unctuous. It's a match made in heaven. From Bologna to Detroit, and named after an Eminem song, this is Mom's Spaghetti. Or, as they say in England, Mum's Spaghetti. Rolling with the food. You'll need a rectangle pizza pan for this dish. This is the one I've got now. I just recently bought this. It's a 10 by 14 inch Lloyd's pizza pan. It's exactly the same shape as my old Detroit pizza pan, right down to the tapered corners and depth. The only difference is this is non-stick, it's PTFE free, blah 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 shit. A link to both will be right down there. You'll also need pizza dough to make this pizza. And I have just the resource for you. Check out my master dough video right here and choose any one of them. Any pizza dough with about 60 to 65% hydration will do just fine. Further, if you just want to know how to make a killer bolognese sauce for pasta or to eat with a spoon, you can just skip to and watch that chapter. Once you've made your pizza dough, either from one of my videos or one that you already have, weigh yourself out a 650 to 750 gram dough ball, and then you're going to put it into your 10 by 14 inch pizza pan of choice, which will be lightly oiled, and that will go in the refrigerator for 24 to 48 hours. I think that 24 hours is fine for a Detroit pizza fermentation. If you're using one of the dough recipes from the other video, then you're going to have 3 extra dough balls, and you can put those in the fridge for 24 to 48 hours or freeze them after 24 hours. While she's in there, you can make the best bolognese sauce in the Western world, my patented Bologneseroni sauce. That's why they call me Tony Bologneseroni. First thing we're going to do is get some garlic roasting in the oven. Get your oven preheated to 400 degrees. Chop the very tops of your garlic bulbs off. Squirt with a wee bit of oil. Cover with foil and then pop it in the oven for about 45 minutes. Smoking. Then we're going to get cracking with the Bologneseroni. A good bolognese sauce always starts with these 3 vegetables called the Trinity of vegetables, or mirepoix if you want to get posh. As you can see, I'm chopping these up into big massive pieces, and this will become clear why soon. Mix the soy sauce half and half, chicken stock together, and add the gelatin so that it can dissolve in there. Set to the side and pulse your plum tomatoes, or tomatoes as they call them in America. Set that aside and start chopping up your pepperoni. This is the aroni part of the Bologneseroni. I am choosing to use little tiny cubes. If you want to get posh with these, that is called a brunoise, I think. Just small enough so that, you know, each one is a little nugget of bite-sized goodness. I highly recommend you buy yourself one of these little $50 mixers. This way you can ensure you know exactly what meat you're getting and which cut of the animal and how long it's been there and all that stuff. It's safer, it's fresher, it's more tasty. But if you want to use already ground up meats, then just get equal parts pork and beef from your local butcher. You can even ask them to grind a specific cut up for you. Now you'll see why my pieces of vegetables were so big, because I'm just sticking them in the grinder and they're going to get mashed up with it all. You could use a food processor or a knife like in the good old days if you elect to not buy yourself a grinder. In addition to the higher quality of meats that you can use for your Bologneseroni, a grinder also makes it extremely convenient to make a bolognese sauce. All of that stuff will go in the fridge while we sweat off our other ingredients. Preparation is the key to making your life easier in the kitchen, always. We're going to sweat off the pepperoni and some lovely cubed smoked pancetta in a Dutch oven, a cast iron dish. You can use a big sauce pot if you want. We're just looking to render the fat off, get a little bit of maillard out of the pancetta, and then chuck in some bay leaves. Putting in bay leaves to saute in the fat will unlock the oils and flavors deep inside those lovely bay leaves, bay laurel leaves. Once that's all rendered down a bit, we're talking about 10 minutes minutes on a medium-high heat. We're going to add our meat and vegetable mix and lower the heat because you don't want to get any type of browning or Maillard reaction really out of the beef. We're just trying to sweat it off with the vegetables. The main reason for this is to preserve texture and make it a more silky sauce. If you browned it off, you'd have a lot more coarse of a texture. And now it's time to just add in our liquids, the tomatoes and that liquid mix that we mixed up before, and let it all simmer together, like get our inner granny on and just keep stirring it on very low heat for an hour or two. The half and half and the gelatin are there to provide some cohesion and texture to the sauce, and the stock is for added umami or savory glutamates. Tomato paste is optional, but I like it. It adds a little bit more sweetness to an otherwise extremely savory sauce. Now you can just go about your business, getting your kitchen clean and stuff like that, and giving it stirs every now and then, just checking on it to make sure it's not reduced into a sticky mess. And honestly, you can add the roast garlic to it at any point of the whole procedure, but I timed it to where the garlic was ready like halfway in the sauce's reduction lifespan. Altogether, this sauce is rich, flavorful umami sauce that you can literally just eat with a spoon. Bolognese sauce, ragouts, and sauces with meat in them in general take a longer time. You want to cook them for a longer time to keep everything nice and tender and reduced down, and there's something decidedly therapeutic about that. Now here's the secret ingredient, which a lot of people omit, but it's essential in my opinion, and it's freshly grated nutmeg. And then add some cracked pepper and your sauce is basically done. If you see this texture here, this is the kind of texture that you're going for. Have a little taste, and I decided it needed a touch more salt. You may disagree because of the pancetta and the pepperoni do add their own level of sodium. Feel free to halve or even quarter this recipe, but prepping off 4 tubs of this at a time and having them in your freezer is extremely convenient and means that at any given time you can just pop one out and eat it on pasta or pizza or in a sandwich. Make sloppy joes out of it, sloppy Giuseppes. His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already. Mum's spaghetti. After that 24 hours of cold fermentation time, it'll be time to get the pizza out and butter the walls of the Detroit pan. This is going to help give us a lovely golden Maillard reaction on those outskirts. Then start shaping the dough into a rectangle shape. At first it's going to show a lot of resistance, but if you just keep allowing it a minute or two to rest, it'll slowly turn into a beautiful rectangle shape. And then this will be kept out at room temperature for an hour or two to allow it to rise a little bit and for the oven to get warm. You want your oven to be 5 to 550 degrees and preheated for a good 45 minutes. So for this pizza, I chose to use mozzarella. It's from Sam's Club, some Jarlsberg from the same distribution center, and some of this sharp provolone. So the only thing I use this Ninja food processor for basically these days is to grate mass amounts of cheese. We're talking about a pound total of cheese, but however you grate it, I do insist. Now I recommend that you definitely grate your own cheese. Never buy already grated cheese. There's caking agents in it and it's I went with the mozzarella for obvious reasons, but the Jarlsberg and the provolone are going to add like a sharp piquancy to it, and those are going to go around the edges of the pizza pie. My oven has been preheating on 550 now for about 45 minutes to an hour, and I am going to stick the pizza in the oven for about 8 minutes, and in that time warm up your bolognese sauce. If you chose to make the sauce the same day, you can just leave some of it in a pan, but I just like doing it the day before while the dough's fermenting so that everything's ready on the day so I've got less to do when I'm making the pizza. A little bit of butter to finish the sauce. I'm just going to give it a bit more unctuousness. The pizza's been in the oven for 7 or 8 minutes now. I'm going to take it out. I'm going to top it with the cheese. Mozzarella in the middle and the sharper cheeses around the edges. These edges are where we're going to try and get that really caramelized, like the cheese is going to make a crust of itself. Back in the oven for 6 minutes on each side. 6 minutes, take it out and rotate it, and 6 more minutes on the other side. Last component of this sauce is some freshly picked basil. Really don't need to tell you why that goes in there, but what I do need to tell you is to make sure it goes in when the sauce is warm and it's no longer being warmed up. Any type of heat, high heat, will destroy the flavor of basil. Basil in America. Now the sauce is ready to go on this lovely pizza. Once it comes out, let it cool down, put it on a dish rag, get some cracked pepper on it while it's still hot, and the rest is Detroit ex-Bolognese history. Scrape the edges with a thin metal device and retrieve your rectangle of absolutely gorgeousness. Look at that crispy, cheesy edge that you've got there. That's going to add so much more texture, crunch. And if you can't afford a scimitar, the link to my scimitar will be in the description. But if you can't afford one, you could use any old bread knife or pizza cutter even, but I like using that because it cuts through it and gives me a nice edge on each piece. The more Detroit pizzas you see me make, the more you'll notice that I never put sauce on the pizza while it's in the oven, ever, no matter what sauce it is. You're just going to make it wet and give it a gum line. So the sauce for me always goes on last, and this is useful for two reasons. One of them is, you know, you get a crispier pizza with less of a gum line and stuff, but you can also put the squares in the fridge or wrapped in the microwave for the next day, and it's just a simple case of ladling a bit of sauce on it and it's like brand new again. Definitely don't tell your doctor about this pizza. I've seen anything as fluffy and chewable as that. Look at that. And only a few thousand calories. Nooks, crannies, crevices. Crispy. Definitely couldn't eat it every day. I don't think anybody could or should, but once in a blue moon indulgence, it's over the top. Best Detroit pizza yet. I'm willing to say best Detroit pizza on YouTube. Come at me. Thanks for watching this. See you next time.